Everybody, Lionel again with the Utterly Pointless channel. Thank you in advance for liking, sharing, or subscribing if you're just in that mood. I would appreciate it. But anyway, this is the Siralim update that I've got. I've been just trying to get down to floor 1000, just a few minutes a day, every day, just for yucks, just to help pass the time and just not dwell on certain things, heavy as they are. But anyway, sorry to be such a downer. It's my gift. But hey, welcome to the Utterly Pointless channel. This is just a quick update. I've done about 10 videos that have just been kind of fizzly. There's a new specialization that I have decided to start out and test, called Dreamshade. So it's built around a very curious debuff called inverted. So it's not a simple matter of having your health flipped from like 85% down to 15. It's not a way of life. It's more like a way of getting eliminated for the enemy. So the main premise of it is that if enemies gain stats, they have a chance to lose them. If they gain health, then they wind up getting hurt instead. And if they get buffs, then there's a 50% chance for them to turn to debuffs. So I don't know if I just said that instead of gaining stats, but anyway, it is just a very down kind of debuff. It just, again, does tamper with enemy health, stats, and buffs. So it is inflicted on all enemies at the start of battle. Enemies aren't immune to it, and also it can be increased through a few mechanics. If an enemy dies, then it passes on its level of inverted to all remaining enemies. So this is just a quick rundown, just a phrase or two summarizing each part of the inverted debuff. So, and here's the main description of it. So again, inverted creatures heal enemies instead of damaging them with attacks and spells, and then they damage allies instead of healing them. So that means if any enemy will attack you, they'll basically heal you, or if they cast any spells, they will heal you. So that's the fundamentals of it. But then they also do damage their own allies instead of healing. So the more defensive they are in that regard, the worse it is for them. And there's also a chain reaction effect as well with inverted. So without further ado, so again, there's a 50% chance for enemies to lose stats instead of gaining them. The inverted debuff rather, is spread by creature attacks. Also, when creatures on your side do cast any spell, then that randomly targets an enemy with the inverted debuff. Inverted enemies also have a 50% chance to get a debuff instead of a buff. And then there are some amusing mechanics here, in case your creatures get confused, I would think, unless you want to have some really creative team building. When your creatures debuff each other, they get a random buff instead. So again, that was just explaining that spellcasting will afflict enemies with inverted. And there's also a damage boost. The higher the enemy's inverted potency is, it's kind of like poison or burning. It can have a potency level, so that will basically grow over time and get larger. So, or get to be a higher number. And this again explains that inverted will spread after enemies die. Basically spread to other surviving enemies. Enemies can't be immune to inverted. When your creatures reduce each other's stats, they grow instead. And also, like poison, burning, and bomb, there's a chance when the debuff processes that it may stay on at its full potency level instead of just kind of tapering off. And another interesting side effect, your creatures are immune to blighted. And this explains again how enemies pass on inverted after dying. Your creatures can trigger healing effects even when they're at full health. Just again, another wacky little side effect. So that's pretty much it, except for question everything, which does heal your creatures when they do deal damage to each other. So it can be attacks or spells or minions, but they do get healed instead. So just a very creative, very unique debuff. I have had it trigger a couple of times when I killed one enemy, and that was enough to kill 2 other enemies. So nice little chain reaction again, and it kind of does wait in the wings for anything really nasty to cause it to throw its own 2 cents in. So I am thinking about bringing in my Corpse Explosion and Abomination team, where we've got everything debuffed rather, with weak and vulnerable. So that would feature my zombie, or rather Abomination, Ridley, who attacks like crazy and also has a 50% chance to kill anything. And there's Zonti as well, and he casts tremendous amounts of highly powered corpse explosions for any tiny reason you can imagine. When an enemy dies, for example, during Tricksters, even the odds. So that is where we're at right now. I'm having fun building my team up. I do have some spirits that will be causing lots and lots of damage when an enemy does resurrect, and I'm thinking about getting some satyrs in there that will shut down enemy resurrection for good. And as it is, I've got these spirits doing this damage 4 times instead of 1 because I've got the Apollinaire creatures trait fused in with the first creature I got. So that's the malignant spirit rather. And again, after an enemy resurrects, 60% of this creature's intelligence damages everything. But there's Renaissance, and then let's see. And I did have one last thing that repeated that, so let's see. Oh yeah, I had Fable actually. Let's see. I should have put Fable on this one. But let's see. So yeah, I can actually swap that relic. Again, this is the team building phase here, so we'll just put Fable right on there. And then the reason I did have it on the previous creature, creature number 2, was that I had a lot of spells here that were life spells prior, but they do, for example, administer a lot of damage from healing, from inoculate, and then that adds poisoned as well. Life Orb is really crazy. I ended up getting that somewhere as a special reward for fighting a false god, I believe. So this will resurrect everything with a lot of health, and then your living creatures get healed for a massive amount of health. And so that's a chaos spell, and as a result, instead of being cast 2 times using the cast twice enchantment, what I did was use his Reign of Chaos to make it cast 3 times. So that's where we're at. I do have blending in. Let's see, probably, outcast no longer. So this creature isn't fused yet, but this will make the last 3 creatures turn into spirits as well. And I've got Meraxis, and he essentially turns off the limit for stats, and he does give all your creatures every single buff as part of his ultimate magic spell. So there's that, and I was looking to fuse probably a Glade Watcher, I think it was, because there is one creature that does deal damage according to the number of let's see, number of buffs that it had. So I think I may have already, there we go. Okay. All right, yeah, Gulper. Okay, so I do have that on an artifact, and this creature, the trait rather, causes 50% more damage for each buff, debuff, and minion greater than its target. So I wish I could have that with Zonte. That would be absolutely awesome in dealing out a huge amount of damage. I'm really thinking about just tucking Meraxis away, just because he'd really be better off with a speed team. I've seen creatures get a speed of about 1 million, and I'm not quite seeing any kind of stat buffs here. Of course, unless you're debuffing each other's stats, but I just don't really have that. So I'll go ahead and give some massive damage a good try, because there's also a good amount of moderate damage here. Let's see. It's here somewhere. All right. Yeah, it was in our spells, I think. Let's see. Yep. So there's Schism, moderate amount of damage. Debilitating Blast, and Tsunami. They would be just fantastic to have. But again, that's Meraxis. But for the Fog Spirit, there is Debilitating Blast and Crush Punch. So that would be some massive damage instead. and I'll be getting 9 meteors probably out to that fog spirit. So that's where we're at. And internal combustion is a nice way to inflict massive damage twice. And that's pretty much where we're at. So I did a quick run, and a couple of creatures essentially followed the leader when it came to taking the damage from inverted. So that was kind of nice, and I'm really hoping that I can get not only Zonte in there with his corpse explosions pretty much every day of the week, and far more frequently, but I'd like to get Ridley as well. In fact, what I'm going to do is save this, and let's see, I got like a really, there you go, you just have to have an eye for detail here. Inquisitor, I think. Oh, Inquisitor's Vulcanar. Okay, I keep calling them zombies, is why. So let's see. I know that I have some of these. Okay, Druid Heal, Leech. Okay. Yeah, as you can see, I've just about got all of my spots all filled up here. Defense 418. Huh, that team doesn't look to have too much synergy there, but let's see. It looks like just a casual one, and wow, I haven't played that one in forever. Special flops. Yeah, take a look at those levels, 1437 and 689. Yeah, can't have everything, so there, I will just go ahead and rename that. And this is just a testimony to how much time I've put into this thing. So let's see, I'll just call this Dreamshade D-Shade Draft D-Shade WIP for work in progress. There, I saved a character. Alright, well that's that. I'm gonna just go ahead and bring out the corporation and see. Let's see, the corporation, where are we? Oh, I don't have any anointments chosen just yet, so oops. Oh, come on, I'm not trying to rename, I just want it. Come on. Swamp. I'm glad I haven't run out of Outcast No Longers, because that is really such a fun, very handy thing to have when it comes to mixing with any other dedicated group of creatures where you have a sigil that you want to use, and you don't want to have 3 creatures from other races sticking out like sore thumbs. So let's see what we got. Let's see. And one of the big things that happens is that your creatures will move around sometimes, or the relics will not be working because you decided to swap one into another group, and in doing so change over to a relic that your original team might be using. So everything's looking good for that. And oops. But the other most important thing that I would like to add at this point are the anointments, because this is one of the few specs that I have not used. So I'm going to use Trickster even the odds, this will get the corpse explosions going. And again, there will be the extra damage from Dreamshade, so that'll be nice. Hopefully will be enough to bring a lot of other creatures down, especially with the ongoing damage between Ridley attacking when creatures die and the corpse explosion, and also the inverteds causing extra damage to any creatures that do survive. So we got Trickster to start with. Let's see, Harbinger, cast on. All right. Let's see. So this could make Corpse Explosion work better if it's actually in anybody's artifact right now. I think I do have just Steel Storm, so it might take a little bit more Brimstone than it's worth. Let's see. Always got to get Reaver in for long-term proliferation. 30% more damage for each turn, and always Revelation. So Revelation and proliferation. At the end of your creature's turns, your dead creatures have a 30% chance to be resurrected with 50% health. I can't tell you how many times this has saved my bacon. So between Guardian Angel and Inner Light, you can still lose when an enemy's trait fires off and outright kills your creature. But with what I've got going on with creatures casting spells when they die, I don't really want to give them 40% less damage. I think maybe, yeah, let's see. My team is a little bit weak, so I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not going to use both of these, so I'll use 3, and that will give me 2. Actually, sorry. That'll give me 1 more damage buff here. Bloodcake's Blade is really awesome when you're fighting against an equally nasty team, but Endless Slaughter, when you resurrect and you've got just 1 health, I mean, that's 4 extra casts of Corpse Explosion that you can have. So I'm going to keep that, and let me see. So that's 5. This isn't really that defensive of a team, ideally. I mean, that defensive of a specialization. But again, you do wind the enemy down, wear them down with debuffs and stat losses and so on over time. So there's not quite such a need for the 3 cleric anointments here. So as it is, again, Bloodcake's Blade, we got Inner Light and Revelation, basically prevent 40% damage, resurrect every so often, and then got even the odds over here, and Reaver, 30% extra damage every turn. So if you don't completely annihilate your enemies on the first go, then this build is meant to basically dig in and get you caught up. So however you decide to play your own team, I'd really be happy to hear if you could just leave that in the comments. And this will do it for the team building that I got here for now. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for watching the channel. I know I do go on at length about some things, but it's only because they are actually very fun in Siralim if you can experience them and try them out. So I'll be taking on a level shortly. I just want to make sure this video manages to post instead of being stuck. So anyway, have a great day or night wherever you are, and thanks again for watching. Bye bye.